We all know how Bleach ends. Ichigo kills Yhwach with his true Bunkai, gets the girl, makes a broken, overpowered, every-powered baby, and names him Kazui. Then he continues his job as a sub-Shinigami alongside all his buddies in Soul Society. But did you really think that Bleach is over?
No.
This is Bleach's canon light novel trilogy, Can't Fear Your Own World. And oh boy, this series is peak fiction. Now you might be thinking, why Anime Balls Deep? Does Ichigo get another power up? No, that's not the reason. These novels finally gives us some deep lore into the universe and the creation of Soul Society itself. The story navigates around Shuhei Hisagi of the 9th Division, where though he didn't have much relevance in the main story, he really shines here. That's due to his detective skills. You heard me right. This man is out for clues and isn't gonna stop until he solves the mystery of the random mishappenings around Soul Society, which leads us to our next antagonist, Tokinada. Yep, with a badass name like that, we all can expect a crazy backstory, which goes back quite far. I'm talking multiple centuries, and who better to tell it than Ichibe, the oldest Shinigami in existence. In this novel, he kinda just drops the biggest bombshell ever, going back over 1,000,000 years into the past, before the realms was even split into the way they are right now, when all of existence was a single chaotic primordial world. Neither life nor death existed. However, this stagnant stage changed with the emergence of hollows who started to feast on the humans. This disrupted the circulation of souls, causing the world itself to destabilize. When hollows started to evolve into Menos, the being known as the Soul King appeared. It was as though the Soul King was born solely to protect the world from these hollows and once again bring stability. By annihilating these hollows, the Soul King was able to protect the living and bring a form of harmony. However, the destruction of the hollows brought about its own problems, causing the world to once again stagnate. In response, 5 powerful beings came together to build a better world. These beings were the ancestors of the 5 noble families: Shihoin, Kuchiki, Tsunayashiro, Shiba, and one other clan. Now, whilst their methods and goals aligned, their motives did not. Tsunayashiro wanted to control the Soul King's divine power. Pay attention, because that's very important for later on. The unnamed ancestor wanted to create a lid to cover up the pit that would become known as Hell. Kuchiki wanted to create order. Shihoin wanted to advance the stagnant world. And finally, Shiba wanted to create a world where hollows could live on their own, in peace. Eventually, the 5 realized that in order to accomplish their goals, they had to split the current world into 3 new ones and needed the power of a transcendent being to do so. And guess who that would be? Yep, the Soul King himself. His power, known as the Almighty, which allowed him to see and change the future, also possessed another ability, which was to manipulate the boundaries of the world itself. So the 5 nobles saw this dude and jumped him, sealing him inside a crystal after severing his arms and legs. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Using the Soul King's almighty powers as a keystone, the world was split. Life and death were separated, and the cycle of souls began. From this partition, 3 new main worlds were made: the realm of the living, Soul Society, and Huecomundo. I know, this is all a lot to absorb, but it's important in order to set the stage for the story, as the Tsunayashiro clan plays a pivotal role within it, all thanks to Tokinada. Yep, you guessed it, he is from the Tsunayashiro clan, and this man is trying to be our Daddy Aizen so bad. You see, Tokinada is driven by disdain for the Soul Society and its order, believing that the current system, which sucks off the Soul King, is so flawed. And just like Aizen, he believes creating a world entirely under his control will free everyone and himself from the restrictions and morality of the current world. But in order to do anything, he first needed to gain influence within Soul Society. Yeah, I know he's already a member of a noble clan, but he needs more power. Just like how Aizen needed to become a captain in order to earn the trust of Soul Society and uncover its secrets like the Hyugyuku. So Tokinada did what anyone would do, and killed all of his family members, elevating himself to the head of the Tsunayashiro clan, which actually did work, helping him gain the influence he needed. On top of that, he's incredibly dangerous as his Zanpakuto is insanely broken. This is Enra Kyoten, a sword that gives Tokinada the ability to mimic the powers of other Zanpakutos he had seen, and being part of a noble family, Tokinada has seen almost every single sword that could make the most insane Zanpakuto ever. Like dude, imagine having the power of Aizen, Shunsui, Toshiro, Shinji, Yamamoto, and more at your fingertips. Like bro uses Kyoka Soigetsu multiple times and even gives it to other people. This is the ability even Yuhaba couldn't predict. But even more worrying is the amount of knowledge Tokinada possesses, as he's aware about the original sin and plans to use every secret war, forbidden research project, and all other dirt on the Soul Society to send the entire Sarete and the surrounding dimensions into chaos. And why? Well, it's simple. Only through chaos can Tokinada create order by establishing a new Soul King he controls.
What? What the f?
Yep, you heard me. This dude wants to create a Soul King. Now after TYW, Yuhaba's remains became the new cornerstone of the world, so nothing really changed. But Tokinada has someone who is the perfect candidate to be his puppet ruler. Ichigo. No. Kazui! Nope. This event only happened 6 months after TYBW. Then who is it? Oh, yeah, we got a new character, guys. Okay, so Hikone Ubuginu is an artificial creation, a soul hybrid commissioned by Tokinada and created by his allies Seinosuke Yamade and the Fullbringer Ora Michibane. Now let's actually hold on for a bit on Hikone, as talking about Ora, remember Execution from the Fullbringer arc? The Fullbring organization that tried to rob Ichigo of his powers? Well, plot twist? She's the one who actually founded it and is insanely powerful. First of all, Aura has, and say it with me, immense spiritual pressure, as she possesses the chain of fate of none other than the Soul King. This makes her so strong, she's able to use Hakuda and Kido powers on the level of Aizen, easily taking out several Quincy soldiers single-handedly. In fact, she's on the same level of strength as Urahara, and he himself even complimented her insane big brain, with her possessing knowledge of the Hogyoko and, you know, of course, being able to create a Soul King candidate. This leads us back to Hikone. He's infused with thousands of soul pieces containing properties of a Shinigami, Quincy, Fullbringer, and even pieces of the Soul King. He was barely alive, but after Tokinada managed to get his hands on the brain of the Quincy, Gremi, to serve as the hybrid's core, Hikone was finally perfected right after the war. From the moment of his birth, Hikone was raised to be obedient and loyal, his personality shaped around accepting his role as the new Soul King. Even his spiritual pressure is overwhelming and extremely diverse, making him a suitable replacement to maintain the balance of the world in Yuhaba's place. However, on the inside, he's just an innocent and confused little child who just wants to bring peace to the world, but unfortunately is being manipulated. Tokinada ain't messing about, but he still ain't no Aizen, who gets some of the coldest moments towards the beginning of this novel, warning Soul Society of the devastating truth that is the original sin before, you know, being sent back to prison. But his words literally holds a huge impact throughout the story. Remember, this is the dude whose spiritual pressure is felt while sitting down and being imprisoned, and this man even states he plans to wait for things to go his way again, even if it takes 20,000 years. Aizen always knowing the dark secrets behind how Soul Society and the world's barriers were created makes a lot of sense. What the founding family did did to the Soul King was absolutely immoral, but in their view was justified. Likewise, Aizen is also taking the same role. If they could do it, why can't he? So when the time comes, hopefully Kubo will give us what we want, the return of Aizen. But for now, we have Tokinada, who is not just causing some mishaps in Soul Society, but also Wikomundo. Yep, his goons, pretty much Aura and Hikone, goes in and takes out their ruler, Dear Harrybell. With that, we get quite an unusual pair up. In fact, pretty much one of my favorite characters, Grimjaw, is now teaming up with the Soul Society to combat their common enemy. He even fights Tokinada and Hikone, and despite the overwhelming odds, our GOAT stands his ground, showcasing resilience, combat skills, and determination. But obviously, the villain group escapes and continues their plan, leaving Shuhei to delve deeper into the hidden secrets of the Bleach universe, specifically about the Suna Yashiro clan, whilst also figuring out a way to stop Tokinada. Also, Shuhei finds some deep ass shit. Is revealed that the clan elders were responsible for a ton of experiments, hurting innocent souls and using them to create forbidden powers, as well as manipulate the balance of the world. On top of that, Tokinada is an abuser. As it's revealed, he married a noble woman, slapped her silly, beating the crap out of her to then kill her, all to gain more power. To make matters worse, his ideology is sickening. As we learn, it's driven by the idea that a world ruled by fear is the ultimate form of order and power. Now, with an evil madman in Tokinada as a threat, you're probably wondering something like, where in the heck is Ichigo? Like, this is a huge deal. So you'd think that Soul Society would send the best guy to deal with it? I mean, Tokinada has access to a Fullbringer on the level of Aizen, a Soul King candidate, and a Zanpakuto that allows him to replicate abilities, but they don't call in one of the strongest Shinigamis in existence? Well, Ichigo is aware of everything that's happening and is on standby, but Soul Society doesn't want him to be involved again. With Tokinada's ability to copy, if he gets access to Tensa Zengetsu, everybody will be screwed. But this is kind of stupid because come on, Ichigo, if one attack would have ended it. But hey, we all know how Soul Society is. So instead of calling him, they pretty much call literally everybody. We are talking about Arankas, some Fullbringers including Ginjo and other allies. Yep, literally anyone they can think of but Ichigo and his gang. And then of course everything comes together in an epic final battle at Tokinada's palace, which is an exact replica of the OG Soul King's palace. It's here where things comes to its forefront, with Hisagi taking on Tokinada as he plans to sacrifice Hikone to become the new Soul King. This also leads to Aura's betrayal. You see, Hikone saw her as a bit of a mother, and she didn't want what at the end of the day was an innocent child to experience a terrible fate worse than death. If you guys forgot what happened to the Soul King, yeah, they pretty much ripped his limbs apart, chained him up so they can use him as a power source. This is exactly what Tokinada wants to do with Hikone. So yeah, this battle is pretty high stakes. Even people like Kenpachi, Rukia, Urahara join in. And I mean, we even get to see some newly revealed Bankais, like Shinji's. Okay fine, listen, this got revealed in the 1000-year Blood War arc in the anime, but before that, this was the only time we ever saw him use it. However, Tokinada uses multiple Zanpakuto's ability, like Kyoka Soigetsu, Senbon Zakura, and even Tsuchi Namazu. Ironically, Ginjo goes off using his replication of Getsuga Tensho, with Hisagi assisting him, attacking and injuring the noble clan leader. Like me, and even you and everyone else, Tokinada is so confused. How is Hisagi and all of these nobodies stopping him? He's even under the impression everyone around him was under the hypnosis he inflicted with Aizen's power. But Hisagi is just built different. You see, it's all thanks to him putting his sword in a Ryatsu concealing cloak, using it to catch Tokinada by surprise. But the real hero here is Shinji, who reveals that this was something that he cooked up in case Aizen planned to hypnotize Ichigo all the way back during the Winter War. and by using his own sword, Sakinade, he was able to distort Shuhei's senses and prevent him from actually seeing Tokinada release Kyoka Suigetsu. So this absolute fraud in Tokinada realizes he has zero chance of winning and retreats back to his palace, planning to use a Kido cannon to finish off the alliance. But unfortunately for him, it's sabotaged by Urahara.
That's why he's the GOAT!
My man is using that big brain to the fullest. But things get even worse for this dude as he's approached by Mayuri, who he believes has come to kill him, but in reality just wanted to observe the end of his actions, as he's stabbed in the back by a mere Asauchi, the most basic Zanpakuto that doesn't even have a name. The one who had killed him was just a little girl, someone that doesn't even have enough experience to be a full-blown assassin. She wasn't hired by anyone, as she claims that Tokinada was an enemy of her family. This was truly karma at its finest, as someone he had affected directly killed him, not someone important like Mayuri, Shuhei, or Shunsui. This actually goes back to his ideology of using fear to oppress, where eventually it will come back to only destroy you. However, Tokinada, being so salty, uses a failsafe to destroy his palace and sends it flying towards Karakura town. Luckily, with Aura's full bring, they are able to halt the descent. But even with Tokinada dead, Hikone is still on the move, intending to kill Aura. You see, even though he sees her as a mother, Hikone has been ingrained with only obeying his master's order even in his death, and because Aura betrayed them, he has to kill her. However, Hisagi gets in the way between Kuration and Kureto, tanking Hikone's attack. Aura is confused by his selfless actions, but Hisagi continues to stand his ground. He tells Aura that even though he's not famous like Ichigo, not powerful like Kinpachi, not a genius like Urahara, but in the end, he's still a soul reaper who has to stick to their resolve, as this whole final battle is all about Suhei's personal development, mainly with him reaffirming his ideologies and accepting his Zanpakuto. He had always hated his Zanpakuto's murderous nature and grim appearance, but when confronting Tokinada, someone who stands for everything he hates, abuse of power, cruelty, and manipulation, Hisagi is then able to accept his own ideals, and now understanding himself, no longer fearing his own world, Hisagi unleashes a power we all know and love: Bankai. This is Fushino Kojo, where upon activation, Kazuhini forms a noose around Hisagi's neck that connects to a large black orb tangled up in chains floating above him. These chains are invincible, as even if they are destroyed, they just regenerate. The Ryatsu around the Bankai also stagnates, creating a replica of the conditions from the original world all the way back to 1,000,000 years. This power is all about equalization. Obviously, up against a Soul King candidate like Hikone, Hisagi doesn't stand much of a chance, but Fushino Kojo's chain extends the life preservation of any opponent Hisagi chooses, with any injury both combatants sustain being instantly healed at the cost of their combined Ryatsu. Using his Bankai, Hisagi is able to drain the Ryatsu of both himself and Hikone. He tells the boy that since the world is unkind, they need to be kind as possible, and with that, the battle comes to a close. Honestly, it's a really cool fight to read, but I'm just saying if Ichigo was here, things would have been over in an instant. Anyways, after the battle, Hikone is actually adopted by Soul Society, with Hisagi determined to teach him how to be his own person instead of a living weapon. And from there, all the characters in Bleach live happily ever after. Yeah, no, Ichigo and the gang ain't done yet. We've still got the Hell arc coming. Let's be real, everyone and their mother knows that Kubo is clearly gonna continue this story arc after the 1,000-year Blood War anime has finished, and it's gonna be fire, with Ichigo, the Soul Society, and his son traveling to Hell to fight old friends and foes. But if you guys want to learn more about Ichigo's son and the circumstances which begins this new saga of Bleach, check out the video on screen right now.